Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of All Star Fandom. As you can see, it's another special Christmas episode, and today I'm joined by two guests. To my left, I have my lovely wife, Emily. Emily, say hey to the people.
Hey, hey.
And at his home, in his office, guitar behind him, my boy Quaid. Quaid, say what's up, man.
What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we're going to have a really fun episode today. So this episode is going to be all about, well, pretty much all about, maybe a 3-episode sort of thing, where we're going to make a bracket, a Sweet 16 of 90s toys. So just say that this is like the 90s Christmas Toys Championship, that we're going to go from Sweet 16 all the way down to our champion. Emily's seen a few of the, I guess, matchups here and there. Quaid, I told him to come on and we'll figure it out from there. So what we're going to do right now.
Off the top of the dome. So
exactly. So what we did, we broke them into 4 divisions. We had Division 1 for video game consoles, Division 2, action figures, Division 3, dolls, and Division 4 will be our wild card, affectionately known as
the Island of Misfit Toys.
Exactly. They had to make we had to slip them in somehow. So what we're gonna do, it'll be sort of like a little round robin thing. I'll start off with the first matchup, and then I'll pass the next one over. So we'll pretty much just give our selections so we can have a winner. So I'll give a selection, you'll give one, you give one. So we'll do it that way. So Quaid isn't like the deciding vote on every single toy. All right.
Oh, a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
All right, so let's kick it.
Well, okay. So these are like the most popular 90s Christmas toys.
Exactly. So obviously you have your 90s, your popular 90s toys, but these are the ones where for Christmas you just rip it open and you scream like, "Oh, this is what I wanted," sort of thing. So
Christmas, Hanukkah, Christmaka,
Kwanzaa after our Christmas, whatever.
Whatever it is, the big toy.
Yeah, okay. yeah, the big toy. Okay, so we're gonna start off in Division 1 with this first round matchup. Right out the gate, I say we get this out of the way. When we're in Division 1 with video game consoles, the Sega Genesis versus the Super Nintendo. Now, I'll go with my explanation of my vote for this one. Quaid, I saw the look on your face with that one. Just coming out the gate hot, man. Out the gate hot. So for me on this matchup, I didn't grow up with the Super Nintendo. So this is going to be a very easy one for me. The Sega Genesis came out in 1988, bled over into the early 90s. All I remember playing my whole life was Sonic, Mortal Kombat with the red blood, Quaid, because Super Nintendo, they had to stay green. Like it couldn't be blood.
A little more family friendly on that side. Yeah,
exactly, sure. Right? So again, I had an older brother, so this was right up my alley. So I had no choice but to like Sega Genesis. So for my vote, Sonic trumps Mario in my book. I'm picking the Sega Genesis. Emily,
so
what is yours?
I didn't have either of these.
Oh, you did?
I didn't. I had 2 younger sisters. We had our video game consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one we had was like the original Nintendo, and then we jumped to another one, but we didn't get these. However, I had friends with both. So there was Stacy, who had the Sega Genesis, and then there was Catherine, who had the Super Nintendo.
Whose house were you over the most?
Catherine's. I'm going to pick the Super Nintendo because I am Mario over the blood business. I'm okay.
Well, you got Sonic too.
But like Super Nintendo, like he had the shoes. He flew.
Sonic has cool shoes.
I don't like Sonic as much. So I'm sorry, Quaid, but you're gonna be the first tiebreaker for us.
Some hot takes. Okay, so I did not have a Sega Genesis.
Oh boy, I know it's okay.
I had the Super Nintendo, but my best friend had the Sega. But this is tough. I have to go with a wider appeal. Super Nintendo, a little more wholesome, a little more family oriented, for the kids, for everybody. Sega was a little outside of that.
Oh, they were aggressive.
And we got to think of what's still around today.
Okay.
Nintendo's still putting it out there, still showing out. So I got to go with the Super Nintendo. Got to.
You have something you want to say.
I will counter with that, even though the vote is already for Super Nintendo.
Maybe you could change it.
Can I sway Quaid? I don't know, man. Like that 16-bit Sega Genesis just stands out for me. I think that was the first console I ever had, you know, and I think that's why it's so near and dear to my heart, because again, I had a cousin who had a Super Nintendo, and it was fine, but you know, with Mario, you're just running, jumping around. With Sonic, I'm going fast from left to right, all the time, man.
That was too much.
There were.
That's a problem.
It was nice. Don't get me wrong. I do love the Genesis. I love the Sega. I love the Dreamcast. I love Sega. But man, it's tough. Donkey Kong, 1, 2, 3.
No.
That's understandable, man.
It's tough. So, but I have to stick by my guns. We're going Super Nintendo.
Okay, for this first matchup, the Sega Genesis takes it on the chin,
yes,
and Super Nintendo advances on to our Elite 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that hurts me a little bit, but anyway.
You should have had different people on.
I know, right? I should have just picked all Sega people.
Yeah, you should.
Okay, so to even make it even harder, seeing how Sega Genesis and Nintendo were like that first half of the decade of the 90s, the tail end of the decade had two other giants sort of battling it out for your dollars, your time, your Christmas enthusiasm, your Christmas cheers. Next matchup is Nintendo 64 versus the PlayStation 1. Emily, I'm gonna turn over you. You get the first vote this time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did have a Nintendo 64.
Okay.
I didn't have a PS1. So you know which one won in my household, because we then got the PS2.
Oh, you jumped.
We jumped. We jumped because we love that Nintendo 64. So Mario Party, Mario Kart, GoldenEye.
Oh, GoldenEye. Okay.
Even what was there's like a racing game where you could like do tricks and stuff, do flips. What was that one?
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was weird. So
we'll search it.
I spent so much time on my Nintendo 64. We ended up giving it away to a family that had kids that their house had a fire, and so they lost everything. And so my dad gave it to them. I guess he decided we didn't need to be playing. So because of that, I'm sticking with Nintendo again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's predictive, but I have to go with the N64.
Well, this is any indication how Sega took it on the chin. Quaid.
So,
out of Nintendo 64 versus the PS1. That's for some years, I guess. Nintendo 64 dropped in 96. PlayStation 1 dropped in 1995. So again, tail end of the 90s, this was it. Quaid, what you got?
I had both. We had both. Me and my sister, we had both. But I have to just, hands down, it was a 64. Like, hands down, the quality of the games. I mean, it was great. I mean, PlayStation I feel like they were still trying to figure it out. When the 2 came out, that's when they surpassed it, you know, Nintendo and even Xbox. But 1, I mean, I remember Croc. I had the Rugrats game. They were poor at best, but we enjoyed it. But man, nothing like, you know, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you know, came out on the 64. It was Mario 64. I mean, I still play that on Switch to this day. That's how good it is. Yeah, hands down, 64 for me.
Okay, this might come as a surprise. I'm gonna go Nintendo 64.
Oh, good.
As a unanimous decision. Now, I didn't have a Nintendo 64. I had friends who had them, and then they bring them to like school on like the last like week of school or something like that. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
So
you got to roll the TV in the room.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
You hook it up, and I just gotta say, I agree with Quaid. They didn't get it right. PlayStation didn't really get it right until like PS2, because if you go back today and play a Nintendo 64 game, it's fine. You can look at that and be okay. Try your best to play a PlayStation 1 game, and it will hurt your eyes like nothing else. But before the time, for 95 to 2000 or 99, it was it, you know. But
it was a step up. It was a step up, but it just, you know, the 64 was much, like I said, much better. The games were more impactful. It was just all around better. So
So even my grandparents had a Nintendo 64 for all the grandkids that
Oh,
came
really?
over. And one time we were all visiting, and one of my cousins, Alex, was playing the N64 and was really, really quiet. We left him. We went to dinner and we left him.
You home?
We were ordering dinner, and my Aunt Karen was like, "Where's Alex?" Oh my God. He had been by himself at home 30 minutes, didn't even know anyone had left.
Oh.
So that's not a case for N64.
He's just so quiet. But yeah, Nintendo 64, that's a great story. Nintendo 64 had, okay, I was still into wrestling. This was the tail end of the 90s, right? We're still in it now, but was aggressively into it then. PS1 had terrible wrestling games until like the SmackDown brand started. And Nintendo 64, I had my friends playing like, well, my friends were playing like WCW, NWO Revenge.
Oh, yeah.
Mercy. What was the other one? WrestleMania 2. Like, it was so good. And I was left out playing like WWF Warzone and Attitude that made lofty promises, made so many promises, and didn't execute on those at all. But so I'll be a Nintendo 64 kid, even though I had a PlayStation 1. So they had better games. I'll give them that. So
Nintendo took it.
So okay, so that's gonna be, so we're gonna hold that off for our Elite Eight matchup.
Okay.
But just for review, Division 1 for our video game consoles right now, Super Nintendo Advanced and the Nintendo 64 Advanced to the Elite Eight. Those two will match up against each other when we get into our Elite Eight. So we're gonna leave this division now and jump into our D2 division of action figures. So Emily, I'm sure you know of these. Quay, I'm sure you know of these. But what we'll do for this, we'll go around just like we did before. So action figures, this first matchup, Quay, this is a tough one. Again, came out the gate very similar to Sega and Nintendo. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus the Power Rangers. Quay, you're up. You're first. Let's hear it.
Golly, man, this is tough. So I was a fan of both. When the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out, the live action sort of, that was solid.
Oh, good.
I had that on VHS, I wore it out. But I was a Power Rangers kid, no doubt. I was Red Ranger. I was just, in my mind, I was Red Ranger. And I had these gloves that you could put on and you turn them on, and it would go shoo, shoo.
Oh,
yeah. So I would wear them to restaurants. I just wore them everywhere as a kid. So Power Rangers for me, the Power Rangers movie, still holds up in my opinion. But so that's where I would go on that. And I know you have strong opinions on this. So
my pick is easy.
Yeah.
I loved Power Rangers. We were all playing on the playground, like who what Ranger are you? What Ranger are you? But
yeah.
You were also like, what turtle are you? That's asked more than like, or who's your favorite turtle? Even if you don't know the brand, you know of those four. You know them. 1990s movie, fantastic, man. I just watched it, but I finished the trilogy last week or 2 weeks ago before that we recorded this. Man, those toys, the cartoon started in like 1987. They ran to like 1996. That's all of the 90s for me, man. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you didn't know, is my vote. I know we talked a lot about the brands, but the toys were amazing too. Like, I would give props to both of those toys. The Power Rangers that morphed, like the head flipped, had to have those. The Ninja Turtles that you could transform into like baby turtles and then mutate them into the actual, it was, come on, man. Like,
yeah.
So
for sure.
TMNT is my vote. Emily, you have the deciding
I
vote.
kind of hate that
Choose
I have
wisely.
yeah. Because again, sisters, I was into both of these. Don't get me wrong, like Pink Power Ranger all day, but I really was into the Turtles. I felt just as strongly about the first movie, but I don't know if I had any of the toys. But I would say that if we're talking like young 90s Emily, if I were to be walking down like the Walmart aisle, I would pick Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over the Power Rangers, because I'm thinking a lot of times because of the accessories. Like you've got, I don't know.
Go ahead.
I like accessories. I don't know. And Ninja Turtles had the better ones. I think.
Just when you say accessories, you mean weapons?
Weapons. Yeah.
Okay.
Weapons.
Headbands.
Yes,
Colored headbands. All that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on this one.
Perfect. I had like a pair of nunchucks at like 5. Man.
Oh,
like
yes.
the foam nunchucks I was, just killing them. So for this first round for action figures, seems like TMNT squeaked past because I think we genuinely love both properties. But if it's Christmas morning, think of that for me. At least I thought of that for myself. Like
that was a good hard-nosed battle between the two. So that was a good matchup. But hey, Turtle on top.
Oh, no doubt. All right. Next matchup in our action figures bracket or division. This might be a controversial one, or one that we just like, hey, we need 2 more things for action figures of the 90s, because TMNT and Power Rangers were it.
Yeah.
But I think this could squeak in too. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna get some flack for this one. WWF and WCW action figures, wrestling action figures, versus the overwhelming power of Buzz Lightyear. So here, and I think it's back on me for first vote.
Yes, it is.
So those wrestling action figures were like the be all end all for me on like from mid 90s to tail end of it. I had a ring. I had the entrance wave for the Titan with the Titantron that played the music when they walked through. Your boy had WrestleMania every Saturday. But then I jumped to like the Buzz Lightyear, and I remember that movie came out in like 95, and then that was like the hottest toy of like 2 years, or that Christmas at least. I got one, thankfully, somehow. It talked, the wings popped out, the laser lit up. But I'm gonna have to go with my wrestling action figures on that, because the Christmas of '97, your boy racked up, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. So, so that's my vote. Those wrestling action figures were great. They had the bone crunching action too. You flip.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was so good. So that's my vote, Emily.
Yeah. So Deanna is like no surprise for this.
That was no surprise, right?
This division at all. I was not into wrestling. You guys both know this until more recently when I
married me.
Dion. I told him this. I probably made fun of the people like
you did
who were into it. Like, that is so lame. So it's probably gonna be really obvious. I'm gonna pick Buzz Lightyear because I'm a huge Pixar fan. Yeah. So sorry, Quaid, you guys can take this from me. I'll hear.
Quaid, what you got, man?
So, I when that movie came out, Toy Story, I wanted, a real Buzz Lightyear, the one with the wings popped out, everything, buttons worked. I never got that toy, and I'm still bitter about that. So I'm going wrestling. I had the ring, big WCW kid, growing up in those days, and I'm like you, Monday night, come on, you get the action figures out, you throw a few couch cushions on the floor, and you start, watching Raw, or Nitro or whatever on a Monday night. So for me, it was the wrestling figures, Sting, Goldberg.
Oh yeah, and just the totality of like the what you got. You got different sort of series every time. I had like 4 of them, like a Goldberg, Nash, DDP, and Sting.
Mm-hmm.
They were like this tall, and they would talk to each other. They were terrible. You couldn't move them or fight them. They were pretty stationary, but still, the fact that they were talking to each other, and it blew my mind, man. So yeah, that was an easy bracket for me at least. So just a recap for our action figures bracket, TMNT will move on to face our wrestling action figures of the 90s. Any thoughts, any review of that, or are we good with that? I think we're good with that, right? We're good.
I think we're all in agreement. Yep.
Yes.
All right, got 2 more divisions to go. We're gonna slip these in real quick. So Division 3 are dolls. So, Emily, I think you might help us out a little bit more on this one.
Finally.
So, what we have is in this first matchup, we have Barbie versus Furbies, and I think it's on you to give your first vote.
It is, yeah. So we know Barbie has been around for a very long
Since
time.
1959.
Yes. And they've been relevant for a long time. And
Very.
90s, they were still incredibly relevant. I had both. I had a Furby, and those were all the craze. And I had lots and lots of Barbies. There's my love for accessories.
Oh, there it goes. The dream house and everything.
Yes, I remember one Christmas morning, I got the Barbie dream house that had an elevator in it that went up and down and like bubbles for the little spa tub, and I lost my mind. It was the best gift ever. So, and my Furby, I got so annoyed with it. Wouldn't shut up. I couldn't get it to I couldn't figure it out.
Do you remember during the 90s where they were like saying like they were spying the Furbies?
Yeah.
Do you remember this, Clay?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were like recording, and they were kind of haunted or whatever. It was,
yeah, there were so many spooky stories behind Furbies.
But they would just
Well, hey.
automatically.
My wife has a story in that vein. You know, I think her Furby was possessed at some point. So
So yeah, Barbie all the way, all day, every day.
All right, Quay.
So the Barbie I can't speak too much on, but I can relate because as a kid, one Christmas morning I remember coming out and the life size, not life size,
The full size, yeah.
G.I. Joes that were, you know, a boy's Barbie back then. So I had the Jeep, I had the ski equipment, I had the scuba equipment. It was just, and so I kind of got that same play feel that, you know, you would with Barbies. So I can relate to that. The Furbies, I had one also, but it was to me a fad. It didn't do anything. Like, it is what it is. They were cute and whatever, but no, there was no, you know, Barbies. The imagination.
Right?
Yeah, it has the imagination factor. Yeah. You can just create whatever you want to create with it. And same thing with the G.I. Joe. And so gotta go with Barbie. It's been around, still around. It's always going to be around. So.
Yeah, same for me. This is an easy one to get Barbie because Furbies didn't come out to like late 90s or 98 or so. Barbie, I think the 90s, I just remember a lot of commercials where Barbie was everything. Like she was every profession, every hero. She was
like the McDonald's set. Like I would play with
She worked at McDonald's?
Yes. She like had her little Happy Meals that she would get out. Like
Barbie's a bad lady, man. She's a bad lady.
I had a friend that had a Barbie cruise ship, and like that was gold. Gold.
That's the holy grail of. See, and
I loved going over to her house.
And I can jump on the back of that just to go back to another rail. The party wagon, like the Turtles van, I wanted that thing so much, man. Like I think I'd buy that today. I'm pretty sure I would, just to say I had it.
See, the accessories.
You're right.
Hey, my G.I. Joe, all the accessories, that was the best part. Like all the different changes, clothes, and yeah.
All right, so Barbie clearly won that round. So we'll jump to the next one. We have Tickle Me Elmo. It was mid 90s. It was about 1996. It was a craze for that. We've seen videos of people getting run over on Black Friday for Tickle Me Elmos, but we've also seen people get run over for Barney as well, for when it comes to stuffed animals and dolls of that nature. So this matchup is Tickle Me Elmo versus Barney. It's on Quaid, right?
Yes.
Quaid, you got first pick.
So Tickle Me Elmo, I do remember, but that was a little early for me. I do remember my sister having one. I didn't care for it. It was never shut up. It was, I don't know, never been a big Elmo fan. So if it's just my opinion, I got to go with Barney. I was a big Barney fan as a kid. You know, love the show. I don't recall. I may have had a couple toys, but yeah, Barney for me all the way.
Okay, I'm gonna make this easy too. I like the idea of Tickle Me Elmo. I think that was fun to sort of have, But again, Barney was the be all end all again. If I had Ninja Turtle sheets, my pillowcases were Barney.
Oh,
so it was and I remember that one Christmas, my folks bought like it was like the inexpensive one. His mouth wasn't open or anything like that. I drug that thing around everywhere, man. I told you the story a few weeks ago. Where it's like I'm at the table like eating spaghetti and I'm feeding it spaghetti. It's just nasty on the front, man. Just nasty, you know. But then that next year they got me like one of the bigger ones, like just a huge one. So I'm walking around with like 2 Barneys, and I always remember this. I had cousins who it felt like a competition for Christmas where they would get these toys and not play with them. Like I would go over to their house and they're still in the box on the bed. I'm like, you got this Barney that I wanted. This is the first year. You got this Barney that I wanted, and it's just sitting there. And I swear, Quade, and then I never saw that Barney out of the box. I never saw it out of the box. Why both of them are getting dirty. Just nasty.
That's what they're for. That's what they're for. Don't leave them in the box.
No.
Take them out and play with them.
Especially when they had the one that I wanted the first year I got mine, and it never saw the light of day, it felt like. So Barney beats out Tickle Me Elmo for me.
Yeah, and I had Barney sheets too. My sister and I had matching Barney beds with all the sheets, all of it. We are huge Barney people. I had all the white tapes, all the Barneys. My grandma made sure that Barney came over for Christmas.
Wait, what?
Yeah, my mom's mom. She got Barney to come for Christmas. I don't remember. I was really young. So
there are pictures of this somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably.
I gotta see.
I wish I had it.
I want to see the Barney that shows up.
My youngest sister Jamie, who people got to meet on the podcast already, she was a huge Elmo fan, so we had Tickle Me Elmo for her. Yeah. But Barney was still OG. She had a Barney birthday party, not an Elmo birthday party. So
especially when you think of the 90s, you're like, that's the guy, you know. So that was an easy round.
That was a very easy round.
That's gonna be a little
clean sweep for Barney. Clean sweep.
Clean sweep.
Yes.
So clean sweeps for both of those rounds.
Yeah, this is going to be hard next.
So that next elite matchup is going to be Barbie versus Barney to move on. So let's get ready for that one. So we move on to our wild card, our Division 4, our Island Misfit Toys, if you will. So first up, we have the Polly Pocket versus the Easy Bake Oven. Now, the Easy Bake, is it on me?
Yeah.
Now, oh God, it is.
Like, I wish you.
Oh God, I'm looking at you like, come on, help me out. No. So the Easy Bake Oven has been around for a very long time.
Has
it has. I looked it up. It's been around, or the idea of Easy Bake Oven has been around since like 1963.
Oh wow.
But I can clearly remember like the 90s seeing those commercials for Easy Bake Oven because you just couldn't miss it, you know? Yep. And also I can say the same for Polly Pocket too. I feel like there was like a boys for boys at the time, a version of that too. I can't remember what the name of it was, but for me, I was more impressed by the Easy Bake Oven. It's a toy you can have a treat with, right?
Yes.
So yeah, my pick was Easy Bake Oven.
Okay, I had both, of course. Loved Polly Pocket. So cool because you could take it anywhere. You had your little pollies that could move around. They're like little mini pocket mansions. And I of course had an Easy Bake Oven. Oh what?
Oh no, it just made me think of another toy. I'm sorry.
Oh okay.
It was just like it. Again, obviously I had all the Ninja Turtle stuff. They had like a shell. It was like a turtle shell that you popped open, and it was like the turtle layer on the inside, but that's neither here nor there.
Just keep stealing ideas.
They might win this whole thing if it's
I know. It's true. But I have a cookie business now, so it's probably not hard to guess that I was Easy Bake Oven all forever. Huge baker. I think getting to have that as a kid and doing that like just fed my love for baking, and I do it to this day. So
easy one, right?
Still amazed that like light bulb would bake a brownie, but
we didn't ask questions.
We ate it. It tasted so good. My mom would eat it every time. So yes, Easy Bake Oven, easy.
All right, Quade. I mean, it's sort of already picked, but we'll take your.
I'll agree with that because I mean, it's just it's just a toy that you can actually produce something edible out of as a child. Is just, I mean, it was amazing. You know, I think my sister did have one, so just, it was great.
I was gonna say, I think like the equivalent is like the creepy crawlers. Do you remember when they did the creepy crawlers? Maybe
I do remember that.
Yeah. Oh, those. Okay.
Yeah. Because I had one that was like a doll maker too. That I spent a lot of time. I don't know. Any of those things where you can like get the machine where you just cook something and then
Yeah, for
voila.
sure.
Yes. Strong
Okay.
light bulb.
So for that wild card round, Easy Bake Oven takes it on to our next matchup. Remote control cars versus the Game Boy. Now that could be the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color. That could be it encompasses both. How about that?
Yeah.
Of the 90s. So it's on you, right?
I think it's on me.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I had both of these as well.
Man.
Yeah, that's a spoiled little thing, didn't I? I had that really cool Game Boy Color that was like the clear, so you could see inside.
Oh, nice. That was cool.
It was awesome. Paperboy was probably my favorite game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I tried playing the arcade version. It was really difficult.
Oh yeah.
Off subject, but okay. And then remote control cars. That encompasses all of it. I'm going to say remote control cars.
Oh, really?
So much more fun, in my opinion.
Okay.
I was more excited about that. I know that Game Boy, like it is, but like I was so enthralled with my Nintendo 64.
Okay.
That I was like, Game Boy.
She had a lot, Quaid. Apparently, she just had everything.
Full for choice, huh? Yeah.
I know, right?
I experienced like Mom makes that.
All right, Quaid, what you got, man? Game Boy or remote control car?
So remote control cars are one of those toys you would get from someone pretty much every Christmas.
Yeah.
And they were usually the cheap ones. And I always got the cheap ones. So they would last, before they broke, they last maybe anywhere from a few hours to a couple weeks. They're never destroyed. But they are so fun, though. They're really fun. But I have to go Game Boy. Just,
yeah.
I mean, the Pokemons, the... Double Dragon, all those games, me loving video games, I gotta go Game Boy. But I do respect the remote control car.
Okay.
Sounds like he just needed to get the nicer ones for Christmas.
I think that's where I might be, Quaid, because
those dollar store ones where like took like 2D batteries and it'd be dead.
Yeah, this is where I'm gonna sound spoiled. My dad was like the guy who got me like the Tyco and the RC sort of ones.
Yeah.
So those are like you charge that battery up for like I don't know how many hours, like 5 hours or something. You got like 5 hours of play or something weird like that. I didn't have a Game Boy. Well, I didn't have a Game Boy Color. I had like the OG sort of Fat Boy Game Boy, before you got slim and full of and diverse. But for me, man, I'm going remote control cars because those Christmases I remember the most. My dad bought me, I think 4 or 5 over the course of like 3 or so Christmases. I think there was one, Quaid, I tell you, man, it was like a SUV sort of thing. It's called the Crashback. You could run it into a wall and it just smashes up.
Nice.
Pull it up, press the button, it elongates back. There's one with 6 wheels that just spun. Oh, the best one. I was telling this to her last week. There's this one like a truck, Quaid. It was like just a regular like pickup truck sort of thing, and you could drive and do whatever, but you fill it up with water, and you could creep up on somebody, and on the top of like it raises into a python. Yeah.
I do remember that. And I think I had that one. I swear to God, because my dad loved it. Yeah, because I think he got it.
It was like a dad story. Cause
I remember filling it up with water. It had the little tank you take out, you fill it up, put it back in.
Yeah, dude, that was, and then you back up real fast, you drop it down, and you're gone, man. So I
changed my vote officially to remote control car.
Oh,
I also remember the one, it was sort of flat and it had 4 wheels, but it would twist. Half of it would twist and flip.
Yes. Yeah, and then I had like one with 6 wheels that just spun real fast, and then there was one called the Tantrum, man. That thing was fast, man. Whew.
My dad was really into remote control boats.
Oh,
So I don't know if that's
seems-
still
that's-
in the category because those were cool too.
I
but
think so.
I
I think it falls in the same category.
Those were cool too.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like for that wild card matchup or the Island of Misfit Toys, we have Easy Bake Oven will go on to take on remote control cars in the next round. So just a recap, our Elite 8 at the moment, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, they'll match up against each other. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Wrestling Action Figures, that's the next matchup for them. Barbie versus Barney, that's going to be a tight one, I think. And Easy Bake Oven and RC cars. So that's our remote control cars.
Yes.
So that seems to be our Elite 8. What we'll do is we'll go down from our Elite 8 to our 4. But we'll stop this episode here and jump into the next one just to give some people a break. So for our 90s Christmas Toys Championship, we have our Elite 8. Emily, Quaid, thanks for jumping on to get this one down as much as we can, and we'll see who we have for a winner.